Welcome to the Retirement with and On Purpose podcast. I'm your host, Trevor Lawson, and this show is all about helping you not just reach retirement, but truly thrive in it. You've put in the work, now let's make sure you can enjoy every moment to the fullest. Today's episode is titled 10 Sneaky Retirement Expenses You May Not See Coming. And the inspiration for today's episode is an article in AARP written by Bruce Horvitz. So I'm going to be quoting Bruce several times today, but the topic is very pertinent as a lot of us think through some of the obvious things in retirement, like, wanting to travel or groceries, dining out. But there's some things, those included, that we don't always think about the cost associated with them and the rising cost at that. So today we're going to go through a couple of these expenses just to put on your radar. And if nothing else, have you more aware thinking about these items as you prepare for your own retirement. Number one, and this is not necessarily the topic itself is not a surprise, but perhaps the cost involved may be healthcare and wellness. So I'm quoting here, of all the spending categories in retirement, this one over time will likely be the big tamale. The average 65-year-old retiring in 2024 will spend $165,000 on healthcare and medical treatment throughout the rest of their life. That number continues to go up. So healthcare, without question, is something that needs to be thought about, and a lot of these expenses, will be prevalent for both husband and wife. So it's something that certainly needs to be factored in. And healthcare costs are also rising faster than overall inflation. So up to 3.7% for the 12 months ending November 2024, compared to 2.7% for products and services generally. So healthcare costs are just rising in general. And we're getting ready to enter this window, or we kind of already are, where baby boomers are entering their retirement years and will be requiring more and more healthcare assistance. So that inflation rate could go up even higher due to higher demand. So healthcare, be aware and note that it's going to be a very large expense in retirement. So something we've got to plan for. Secondly, home maintenance and modifications. So 9 times out of 10, when I'm helping a family or couple retire, housing is a big part of the consideration. Are we going to stay put and kind of renovate our house to meet our current needs? Are we going to relocate, downsize? So home maintenance and modifications is an area just to be aware of, that if you decide to stay put, most of the time your home after 10, 15, 20, 30 years is going to need some modernization. So expect cost associated with that. So I'm quoting here, if you plan to stay in your home through at least a good chunk of your retirement, expect your maintenance cost to jump considerably. Ross says it's more likely you'll be hiring people to take over tasks you have been doing for years, from house cleaning to window washing to mowing the lawn and cleaning gutters. This reminds me of my own grandmother who, when my granddad was living, he would take care of the yard and a lot of the things outdoors. But upon his passing, that's not a responsibility that she wanted to or could frankly stand to take on. So that was lawn maintenance, having the yard and gardening needs taken care of was an expense she didn't have in the early part of retirement, but something that picked up as time went on. So home maintenance, modification, another area that can be sneaky for us to think about. Thirdly, and even if you're not anywhere close to retirement, you're probably feeling the brunt of this, home and car insurance. So average annual home insurance premiums rose from just shy of $2,000 in 2021 to an estimated $2,500 at the end of 2024. Auto insurance coverage spiked even more sharply from $1,500 to $2,500 a year on average. So these, especially in areas where there's a lot of growth and development happening, think about here in Raleigh as an example, the population is continuing to grow, and we're seeing that trickle down to our home and car insurance prices. Fourthly, and I noticed this early on, but travel. So travel cost in retirement will vary not only based on where you go and where you stay, but on who you bring along. A lot of clients that have children and grandchildren, one of the things that they aspire to is to have an annual family vacation where the kids and grandkids come along, and if possible, or to sweeten that that travel experience, they'll maybe want to incentivize the kids and grandkids to put it on their calendar by offering to pay. So travel can be a biggie when it comes to cost, especially if you want to make it so that you're including a lot of your family members. Fifth, transportation. So driving costs money, from car payments, like we talked about, from car payments to maintenance to gasoline to insurance. And with the extra time, you might be doing more of it. So a lot of retirees, that time they used to be at their desk or in the office, they are now spending going here, there, and everywhere. And so that's putting more wear and tear on your car, more miles, perhaps a more frequent oil change, more frequent car service, more gas in general. So just be aware that transportation is likely going to cost more if you plan to retire and be relatively active. Sixth, utilities. So utilities have been present, obviously, as long as you've been around. But for those that maybe did go to an office or work away from home during that typical 8 to 5, 9 to 5 window, you got to think you weren't at home running the air condition quite as hard or the heat quite as much. Your lights were turned off, and so your utilities may have been a bit lower considering a lot of your waking hours you were away from home working. Well, when you're retired, if you are home more frequently, that may increase the cost of your general electric and just some of your utility bills. So utilities can be a sneaky cost that would be worth us making sure we're factoring into our retirement income plan. The final three, kids and grandkids. So spending on kids and grandkids can be simple as a gift card, as a lavish trip to Disney World, or as a lofty as a fat contribution to a college savings plan. So if you have kids or grandkids, even though they may grow out of the Santa phase and you may not be purchasing as many tangible gifts, you may want to, again, create memories by taking them to Disney or taking them to see some of the national parks. There's things you may want to do for them that are going to cost money. And then certainly if you're in a position to be able to do it, making contributions to their college savings plan is a gift that can keep giving, but will cost money. Eighth, taxes. So many retirees expect their tax bill to decline since retirement income is generally lower than work income, but it may not go down as much as you think. You still owe federal taxes on money you take out of your traditional IRA or 401k, on pensions and annuities, and possibly on Social Security benefits, depending on your total income. So yes, while your overall income may go down, if we're replacing that employment income from pre-tax accounts like an IRA or a 401k, your taxes may not drop as much as you might think. And it's something that needs to be thought through on the front end just so you're not caught off guard come April. A lot of our clients will, if we're starting an income withdrawal plan from their 401k or IRA, will help withhold those taxes on those disbursements just to help alleviate any taxes come April. And then the last two, if you decide to forego the home maintenance and modifications and do decide to move, there's cost involved with that. So 1 in 7 Americans who moved in 2024 cited retirement as the reason, according to the most recent National Mover study from United Van Lines. So a lot of folks approaching retirement may move from a higher cost area to a lower cost area. They may want to move to a state that's more tax friendly. Oftentimes people move where it's warmer, somewhere south. But those moves do cost money. So consider a full service local move under 100 miles cost on average $7,600, and a full service long distance move can cost over $9,100 on average. And those numbers, from my experience, are on the lower end of things. So moving is an expense that certainly needs to be budgeted for. And then lastly, and really the most important one to make sure we're doing, regardless of the expense, is staying connected. So just a phone line, home internet, and cable can cost multiple $100s per month. But in order to maintain engagement with our peers, our family, our loved ones, we've got to have these things. But in this day and age of streaming, you've got to go to Paramount to watch Landman. You've got to go to Netflix to watch, I think it's called The Black Rabbit, which I'd recommend right now. But you've got to have all these different streaming services to watch the show of the month, and so that can add up over time. So one thing you can do there is just be mindful of what you're paying on a monthly basis, your subscription fees, and if you're watching a show on Paramount, but then you stop and don't use it for a while, thankfully it's very easy to stop and start these subscription services just to, keep as much money in our pocket as possible. But those are 10 sneaky retirement expenses, maybe not so sneaky, but some, again, just if nothing else, just to keep top of mind. So as you're planning for your own retirement, we're thinking through all the potential expenses associated with that to make sure we're as well planned as possible. That's it for today. Until next time, take care, and I look forward to being with you again soon. Thanks for tuning in to the Retirement with and On Purpose podcast. I hope you're walking away with new ideas and a fresh perspective on how to make the most of your retirement journey. And remember, retirement isn't the end. It's your time to live with purpose. Until next time, I'm Trevor Lawson. Here's to a fulfilling and thriving retirement.